Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is July 17th, and right now we are looking at the visible satellite imagery here, and you can see the strong onshore flow of the system rolling through the Pacific Northwest, really cooling us down. Check out these lightning strikes across BC, Alberta, higher terrain of Idaho here, and in the last couple of scans, one popped up here on the higher terrain of southwest BC as well. Check out the Cascades, the barrier there, not allowing those clouds going into eastern Washington. Some gusty winds on the east slopes of the Cascades out of the west, some low relative humidities, those gusty winds bringing some enhanced fire danger there, so heads up for that. We did have some showers Seattle northward and down towards southwest Washington and some of Oregon. We'll take a look at that in some detail here coming up. We'll take a look at the extended forecast as well. Looks like we're going to warm up again at the end of this week here and then potentially bring another trough towards Pacific Northwest. We'll look at those details here in a moment. This is looking at Paradise Mount Rainier. Looks like a little bit of a raindrop there on the camera. Heads up for those clouds out there, but probably not much of a risk for a thunderstorm there across much of the Cascades today. So not a bad day for a hike out there. This is looking at the Tempest weather station here. I've been testing this one out. It's all solar powered. The thermometer is extremely accurate. It's got an ultrasonic anemometer here, haptic rain gauge, and it's got smart learning. A smartphone app is really nice with this system as well. Highly recommend this station. Click on the link down below to save 10% on that. Weekly temperature outlook. This is for Eastern Washington. You can see the highs suppressed a bit here Monday, Tuesday, but then bouncing back as we go through mid and later this week and we warm up again. Nice stuff from the National Weather Service Spokane here, issued this morning. And of course, you don't need a meteorologist to tell you here, dry vegetation, strong winds, and high temperatures can drive wildfires and the human activity. Hopefully we can reduce some of that because lightning starts enough fires here across Pacific Northwest as it is. This is looking at southwest Washington, some of the coastal range. Even the Cascades down towards Corvallis got 0.03 of an inch there, and you can see a little bit of precip there. Actually, up over a quarter an inch there, just off to the east across some of the higher terrain of JBLM there. So yeah, kind of interesting there. Did get a little bit of precip and some for Seattle North, as you can see here in the CoCoRaHS. Not a lot here. You got some trace amounts up by Mount Vernon here. Everett, 0.02 of an inch there. Nothing for SeaTac. This is looking at SeaTac yesterday, 83 degrees, 5 degrees above average. Another warm day there, but nowhere near the record high set back in 1979. 98, and 96. Nice little heat waves back then. No precipitation, not much in sight, but we will take a look at the extended forecast. Right now, we're just kind of looking for a fantasy rain event here across some of the Seattle metro, western Washington, western Oregon, and through southwest BC. We'll take a look at those details here in a moment. Check this out. We got a little bit of critical fire danger here across eastern Washington and the day one fire weather outlook. And you can see the elevated does extend down into northern Oregon as well, including Pendleton and Spokane. This is looking at a wider view of things here. Here's Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon. Check out this trough over the region here. So if we put that into motion, you'll see that swinging through. Then we bounce back with this ridge, and we're going to warm up here as we go through the later portion of this week. But this trough not far off out here, and it's right on the borderline here of really warming us up or potentially cooling us down here. So we're probably going to be playing a little bit of cat and mouse with this system out here. And it's probably going to bring some kind of marine influence, not allowing us to warm up too much here. But you can see a pretty strong ridge here. The further you go east away from the coastline across some Idaho, Montana, up into Canada here as well. This would be Saturday night shown here. Now this is looking at 850 millibars, which is about 5,000 feet. It kind of gives us an idea of what's going on, the temperatures above us here. And you can see, this strong onshore flow with this system rolling across the area here. And then as we go on into Tuesday afternoon, shown there, what's going on here, we're starting to warm up again here across much of the Pacific Northwest. But then here comes that next trough. You can see we're right on the borderline here, getting some cooler air back into the area at hour 144. Big yin and yang here, much cooler off over the Pacific Ocean than normal and warmer than normal across much of the interior here with that ridge building over places east of Washington, Idaho, Montana, up into Canada here. So we'll watch that over the next few days to see how warm we're going to get and if the system is going to make this much headway into the Pacific Northwest. This looking at the NAM this morning actually showed a little bit of a redevelopment here, some of the convergent zone as we go through the early afternoon hours. I'm not really sold on that. It's kind of a persistent looking feature on there too, but we'll look at the HRRR here in a moment. But you can see this precip really starts tailing off by the time we get towards tomorrow morning, and then we're going to dry out and we're going to warm up here as we go through the mid and later portions of this week. This is the HRRR, the 15Z run here. And you can see as we go through the afternoon, you can see the showers kind of on the decrease there, but a little bit of activity as you go off to the east across Snohomish County, across some of the higher terrain there. Can't rule out some of these showers persisting on through the evening, later evening hours here, but not too big of a deal. If you're out there hiking around Highway 2, Stevens Pass north across some of the Cascades. You might see some of those residual showers going on in through the afternoon. This is looking at 80-meter wind speed here, and look at some of these gusty winds rolling off the Cascades here as we go through today. You'll see there's pretty strong winds going on. And then watch as we go into tomorrow. You see that gradient relax as that system kicks off to the east here. Tuesday, much less wind here across eastern Washington. And same thing for Wednesday as we go here. We almost turn things offshore a little bit here as we start to really warm up again here across the Pacific Northwest. This is looking at the wider view of the Pacific Ocean here. You can see the Hawaiian Islands. Check out this high pressure. This is kind of a semi-permanent feature here across the Pacific Ocean. And during the summer months, you know, this high can be pretty strong here. Our mid-latitude cyclones are rather weak. And as I scroll through these hours, you can kind of see the high pressure. It ebbs and flows here, and it allows for some mid-latitude cyclone activity at times here. But during the summer months, this ridge out over the Pacific Ocean is quite strong, and this is what brings the trade winds to the Hawaiian Islands as well. But look at that. As I scroll all the way out there, 2+ weeks, you can see that high pressure. You know, that's typical summertime stuff here across the Pacific Ocean. Now, this is looking at the northern hemisphere. I wanted to show you guys this. It's actually looking at the very top levels of the atmosphere. It kind of shows you a little bit of a slice of the polar vortex. And you can see the gradient just not that strong as we go through the summer months. Polar vortex quite weak here. And I'll scroll through here, and you can see not much changes as we scroll all the way out in the 2-week+ period. But you know where it is winter? Southern hemisphere. Look at this gradient and the difference here. You know, it's wintertime down there. And as I scroll through here, you can see that powerful gradient there is what will flip. Once we go to our wintertime, of course, our vortex gets much stronger as we go through the northern hemisphere's winter here. So just kind of showing you the differences there. It is winter in the southern hemisphere now. This is Everett. You can see the European picking up on a little bit of that precipitation across some of the areas up there. And what we're looking at here is this next system trying to roll in here as we go through July 24th, 25th coming up. And, you know, some of these ensemble members showing a little bit, but the vast majority not having much, and the control run not showing any as well. This is looking at Seattle. Not much to speak of here. It's just kind of a little bit frustrating, but this is a dry time of the year, and if you get any precip this time of the year, you're generally kind of lucky here, but that'll be changing here in the next couple months or so as we start to head towards our rainy season. This is looking at Vancouver, a little bit better chances here. Some of the ensembles showing a little bit better precipitation amounts, and a few more of them doing so. This is looking at Spokane. Not much hope as you look on through the extended towards the end of July here. This goes all the way through July 31st, and only a couple of extreme ensemble runs there showing a little bit of precip. Now, this is the next couple days. You can see Monday, Tuesday, then we bounce back here, potentially heading for the upper 80s here as we go through Thursday, then bouncing back down again as that next trough tries to make its way towards Pacific Northwest. So we'll see what this shows here in upcoming runs in the next few days. We have a bit of time to watch that before potentially bouncing back in the extended as well. This is at Spokane. Check it out. Going to warm up again here as we go through the weekend, but the trough could be affecting places east of the Cascades as well as we go on in through the extended. This is Portland, something similar there. You can see the warm up and then the potential drop back down with that next trough there. This is the GFS kind of showing, you know, Seattle getting up towards 90 degrees again maybe here on Thursday, and then bouncing back down here as we go through on into the weekend here, dropping back down a little bit, but still pretty warm. So yeah, it just depends on where this trough is going to be. And these bars over here continue to kind of crack me up here, because if you look at that, that's actually 1/100 of an inch. This big bar here, that's only 1/100 of an inch right there. So this is nothing to get too excited about here. This is looking at the national blend of models here. Look at Seattle, 74 today, 78 tomorrow, warming back up. Then look at Wednesday, Thursday. We could be up upper 80s, maybe even some 90-degree readings here west of the Cascades. Look at the Willamette Valley getting up over 90 degrees as well. You want some relief, get out to the coastline here, eastern Washington. Some places getting up over 100 degrees. The valleys of BC, the interior up there are going to get quite warm again as well. Look at southwest BC, mid-80s also. So yeah, we are definitely going to heat up here across the region again. There's Friday, Saturday. Then that trough tries to get back in here again and drops your temperatures down back a little bit here. But again, we're going to have to wait and see on just how progressive that trough is going to be towards the weekend. This is 6 to 10 day precipitation probability, and we are already in our driest portion of the year. So seeing this kind of lets you know that you're not expecting much, if any at all, here across Pacific Northwest. This is the 8 to 14 day, again with the below average probability all the way through the end of July. And here's 6 to 10 day temperature probability outlook as well. You can see the bullseye across some of Idaho, Nevada, Utah out there, and including the Pacific Northwest. 8 to 14 day, again above average. And again, I've been showing this the last few days. We have introduced some severe drought across the west portions of the Cascades, moderate drought elsewhere, not including the Seattle Metro just yet, but drought development is probably going to occur here as we go through the next month or so. This one was released on July 13th here. This is the 7-day significant wildland fire potential, NW10, including Spokane, a lot of the Columbia Basin here, some of the Columbia River areas. You can see that we are dealing with the red, with that high risk for significant fire starts here across NW10 here. So yeah, at least we're not expecting lightning strikes right now across that area. But that gusty winds here today, Monday, is what's going to be the main threat with the low relative humidity. So heads up if you are out and about in that area. And this is looking at Canada. You can see we've got the red dots are out of control fires here across much of the country right now. And it's probably just a matter of time before we start to get some of these out of control fires going across some of Washington, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, and California here as well. So yeah, Canada has already burned what I think it's over 25 million acres, by far their all-time record high for the amount of acreage burned up there. This is looking at the latest on El Nino. This was updated today. Look at Nino 3.4. We are in moderate El Nino conditions as of right now. And of course, we measure that across the equatorial Pacific here. And you can see Hawaii, Australia, South America, and Mexico. That's where we measure the waters there. And you can see our long climb out of La Nina through last winter into spring. And now here we are into moderate El Nino conditions. Very interesting stuff. And this is kind of a look at that sea surface temperature anomaly. Back it up and we go start on June 17th, and this rolls out 30 days, and you can kind of see that tongue of warm water just continuing out here across the equatorial Pacific, getting a little bit of a pause here, but we'll see how things continue to evolve over the next few months. Not a big player in our weather right now at all. It's not really coming into play at all yet. It really starts to rear its head a little bit as you get into fall, winter, and especially as you go on to the early portion of 2024, then it tends to have some much bigger impacts on the Pacific Northwest, mainly the area being warmer than normal. And one more look at things here, as you can see all the smoke across Canada here being introduced. This mid-latitude cyclone just kind of spinning here across Canada, introducing that all the way down into some of the states. You see some severe weather from last night across Kansas down here. That's going to redevelop out there as well. But yeah, and we've got an old tropical system out here. It's still a tropical storm technically, moving towards the Hawaiian Islands. This is of some interest here. If you're going out to Hawaii here in the next few days, this thing could flare up as it passes by and redevelop some deep convection around its periphery here. And it might bring some strong winds on the north side of this here as well, and maybe some bigger waves than normal here across Hawaii. But it's kind of lacking deep convection right now. And this is not a hurricane. It's just kind of hanging on to tropical storm strength right now. So anyway, if you're flying out to the Hawaiian Islands here in the next few days, that's what to expect. And yeah, so anyway, we'll do this again tomorrow. We'll check out that trough. We'll see how much of a player that's going to be in this coming weekend's weather here, and we'll see if it has any precipitation in store for anybody here across Pacific Northwest, and we'll take a look at that tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.